Hello again, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of People in the News in North Texas. My guest today is Jason Mrochek, who is running for the Republican nomination to Congress in the 26th District of Texas. Thank you for being here, Jason.
Well, thanks for having me.
If you would please begin by telling our viewers something about your background.
Sure. Yeah, so as soon as I graduated high school, I actually went out to study at West Point, United States Military Academy in New York, and was commissioned as an officer in the Army. Served in the Army and then was honorably discharged and came back to civilian life. And for a while I thought that I was done with public service until one point when I was just living a normal life, and I realized that things weren't always the way that I expected them to be. So at that point I was a consultant, a senior consultant with a Big Four consulting company, and about that same time I started getting active in trying to do something about a lot of the issues. In my case, it was a lot of the things about illegal immigration that were impacting all facets of our life. And I gathered together with a bunch of local folks and started an organization, what is known today as the Patriot Coalition, and dedicated to essentially restoring constitutional governance to the United States and preserving it for our descendants. And so I ran that and continue to this day. It's been about 15 years as a volunteer basis. And then between then and now, I've also served. I started a software development company, been involved in real estate, and am currently a business analyst with a global healthcare company.
Well, that's extensive. Have you ever run for political office before?
No. All the experience I have in politics has been nonpartisan, really just focused on what the Constitution says. It doesn't matter to me if you're left or you're right. This is what the roadmap for our country. This is the employee handbook for our public servants. So that was what is important to me.
Well, what made you decide to run now?
Yeah, so after 15 years as the executive director for the Patriot Coalition and working from the outside, educating, trying to inspire people to hold their public servants accountable, also ensuring that the right types of legislation are introduced and why they should or shouldn't be based on a constitutional basis. At this point, it is very difficult for me to see the same sorts of non-compliance with our Constitution at the federal level. This is a very good time for me to then now see what I can do it from the inside. You know, kind of get to the belly of the beast and ensure that that same constitutional standard is upheld.
Have you been active in the Republican Party, for example, in Denton County?
Yeah. So I have been involved in the Denton GOP. I'm probably known different clubs and been to the CEC meetings. Recruited precinct chairs. So I've done everything I can to try to make sure that people are involved, because a lot of people will say, well, it's our politicians that are the problem, and to a point that's true. But we, the people, have to hold them accountable, and so we have to be involved at a very, very local and a very grassroots level to make sure that happens.
All right, tell us about the main issues you'll be talking about during the campaign.
Yeah, so I always tell people initially it's extremely important for you to understand that your elected officials, they're not going to be able to communicate with you about every single issue that they vote on every vote. Right? So it's important that you understand their values and their principles. If you are aligned with their values and principles, then at least you know they're heading in the same direction that you are. So to me, it's important that we are preserving our liberties, that we are strictly adhering to our Constitution and putting America first. So from a very directional place, those are the things that I want people to be able to align with, or at least those are my values. So I hope that if that's their values as well, that's something they'll support. In terms of priorities, again, the defense of liberty. Anytime something is treading on any of our liberties, doesn't matter what it is. If it is our God-given liberty, that is what's important to me.
Well, let me get specific then on issues. Yeah. How do you feel about the construction of a border wall?
I think it's an absolute requirement to solve the problem of illegal immigration. It is one of 4 things that has to happen for that to be solved, or at least rectified to a place where we can take a breath and reevaluate what we're going to do about immigration, both legal and illegal.
This is a question a lot of people are asking, and I'm certainly always asking. With the economy booming the way it is, why do you think there are so many socialists running for office in the Democrat Party?
Yeah, well, to me, I don't think it's for them. It's not just about the money, right? It's about the power and the control. I think that they see socialism as a way, because it does appeal to people who maybe aren't as involved or aren't as educated on the political issues, right? It's very appealing for somebody on the younger end of the spectrum to hear something like, yeah, free this and free that, and we'll take care of you here, and that garners votes. So it's really about control and power.
And when it sounds too good to be true, it generally is.
Yes, sir.
It's a shame that so much is being given away to try to get votes. And it can never happen anyway. They couldn't give away all of that. The country wouldn't be able to handle it.
It doesn't make common sense.
So how about this? What's your opinion on term limits?
Yeah, so I take a different tack on this. I know that you and I probably disagree, and even though it's probably against my best interest, I believe that we already have term limits, and they're called elections. And every time that we have an election, we have an opportunity, that we the people have an opportunity to turn people out. And if we do not do the work that we need to do after the general election and before the primary election to make sure that those people that we want in office, that share our values and our principles, are running for office, that's on us. That's not on our politicians, because it works the other way too. If we have a very good elected official, that limits our liberty to ensure that we re-elect them. So it cuts both ways, but I think that constitutionally and from just our liberty perspective, we already have those term limits. They're called elections.
All right, how about financing? It's always vital to a campaign. How much do you think you need to raise to run a campaign like this?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer. A lot, if that's allowed.
That's a lot.
I know that my opponent has raised a lot of money. And here I sit. I'm not a politician. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a millionaire. I like to say that I live in a little house in Little Elm. I don't have big business or lobbies in my back pocket. So the deck is stacked against me, and so fundraising is going to be a very important part. I'm hoping that people get involved, and if they again share my values, that they're going to donate to my campaign. But I personally, I'm more focused. I want to get out and I want to meet as many people as I can. I want to understand the things that are important to them at a federal level. I want to understand the issues that they are facing. So for me, it's really going to be about the ground game.
All right, what type of campaigning do you see yourself doing? Or debating, door to door, literature? I guess a variety of.
Yeah, I think all of the above. Again, to me, it is more important. I'm doing this because I know that I can be a voice of the people. We the people that share my values. So I can't do that unless I am getting out among them and understanding their issues.
All right, let me ask you this then. What if you're elected? What would you do differently than Congressman Burgess?
Yeah. Well, I would say that one is, again, back to the Constitution. It is very important to me that I am only either introducing or voting for legislation that is constitutionally sound, that complies with the enumerated powers in the Constitution. And to this point, a lot of the legislation that has been introduced by my opponent, he will cite the Commerce Clause or the General Welfare Clause, which are really just sort of catch-alls. That is not telling me that somebody has a solid understanding of why he's introducing legislation. So that's really important to me, because I think that is part and parcel of how we've gotten to this point where we've gotten these giant bills that have spending a ton of money on stuff that the federal government is not responsible for legislating.
Well, I see it's time to wrap up, Jason, so I just want to thank you for being here, and I want to wish you good luck in the campaign.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for watching.